Hi, everybody.
Oh,
No idea what that was about. It's Friday. We have survived Thanksgiving. Yay!
yeah,
Didn't eat nearly as many calories this year as I have in the past, but that's good.
I did.
Oh, probably after I got home. Anyway, we are Catherine and Jermaine. We are the creators behind Yoked, where we are teaching couples that godly marriages start before the ring and helping married couples maintain their covenants and foundations and all of that good jazz.
Yeah.
So, if this is your first time joining us, we have been talking this week about our dating story. November is Family Stories Month. So, we've been telling, things about us and our little two-person family and, all the stuff that we've been through and all that stuff, and just kind of giving you a behind-the-scenes look into our lives. So, last week we talked about kind of like getting to know each other, like our story when we met, establishing the friendship that we have. This week we talked about our dating life, and since next week we're going to be talking about our marriage story, we thought we would segue into it with our engagement story.
Yeah.
Y'all every day. So okay, how did this whole thing start? I knew I was pestering you about being married pretty much the entire time we were dating.
So, yeah, I didn't know where we wanted to start because what you call pestering, I call like honest check-ins.
Yeah.
And so what she calls pestering is like usually after a wedding or after some sort of deeply romantic event, she would ask me kind of where I was on the whole getting married thing while we were dating, and I would so unfortunately I hadn't developed the whole being emotionally tactful quality yet, and I was very blunt,
And mean.
direct.
You so mean.
Direct.
You hurt my feelings.
Answering your question truthfully. And so...
You know what I totally thought of?
I don't know.
I can't handle the truth.
Well, part of it was, like I was telling her the truth and answering her questions and responding to what she was saying after these things. And, where I was at the moment, I was being honest. And I would say something, paraphrasing, I'm not ready for marriage today, right now, with you or anybody. But tomorrow it could be different.
Yeah, so, being a little serious about it, because this story is, looking back on it, it's hilarious. Like, in the moment, there were days I really wanted to punch him in the arm. Like, I was legit mad. But, looking back on it, he didn't, we talked a couple of days ago about how, men need to be intentional. Hey, Lateria. We talked a couple of days ago about how men need to be intentional about their emotions and what they're thinking and what they want in a relationship. And you were actually doing that, but it was not what I wanted to hear. So yeah. I wasn't entirely thrilled, but you were being honest. You were doing what you were supposed to do. And I remember there were quite a few occasions, but we went on vacation. It was March of 2011. And we went on vacation. We had been dating, it hadn't been quite 2 years yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
It hadn't been quite 2 years. We went on a cruise with a couple of friends, and we were in Belize, and we were at one of the Mayan ruins, and I said something to him about, where is this relationship going? And he was just like, I don't know. I'm not ready for marriage right now. And I was so mad. It ruined my entire day. I was so mad at him. And he's like, go over there so I can take your picture. And I'm like, Like, there's a picture of me smiling like that. I was so mad at him. But but he was being honest. So that was March of 2011. We were both in grad school at the time, and
Well, no, I just finished.
no, you were an undergrad.
I just finished my undergrad.
Yeah, you finished your undergrad. I had graduated from grad school, so it was May that we had. Was it May we went down to Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the story. We had gone down to we had gone to a wine and oyster tasting here in Memphis, and the next morning we had to get up at like 5:00 in the morning to drive to Atlanta. We didn't go to sleep the night before. Like, we stayed up 24 hours and tried to drive. That's important because this is what happened. So we get up, we drive to Atlanta and to get to his graduation, and we got to the hotel room. He changed clothes. I drove him to the graduation. I was like, you go in, because we were so late for your graduation. We got him in, and I was like, well, I'm going to go park the car, and then I'll run up to meet you. So I'm parking the car. I have to put my lipstick on. I pull the visor down to look at the mirror, and all this stuff falls in my lap. And I'm like, crap. I'm just like, I'm rushing to try to get everything done. So I pick up the cards. I pick up the paper, and there's a card. He had been to a jewelry store looking for an engagement ring. And I was like, what? So the whole time he's telling me that he's not ready for marriage, he had totally been looking for engagement rings. So I had to, I tried to put everything back where I found it, but I'm freaking out. I'm late. I'm running around trying to make sure I've put things like where he doesn't see them. So anyway, we go to the graduation. I don't say a word about it. So we get out of graduation, and you're driving, and I'm just sitting in the car like,
yeah. I mean, like, nothing's going on in my mind. We're driving down the street, and I moved the visor for some reason, and I realized, like, okay, this is not how I left this stack of stuff.
I was so busted.
And so, me being the person I am, I'm very, I remember where I put stuff. And so when I pulled out the visor, I'm like, this is not how I left this stuff. That stuff is out of order. It's in the wrong place. Like, all of it. And so I'm like, man, she found out.
So he turned to me. He goes, "You know, don't you?"
That's exactly what I said. I said, "You know, don't you?"
And I was like, "No, what? I don't know what you're talking about." I'm such a bad liar.
What's up, Isaac?
Hey, Isaac. I'm a terrible liar.
And so, like, we go through this whole conversation, and then, I basically end up telling her I'm looking for a ring.
Yeah. So I totally ruined my own.
Which is okay. Because then I was like, well, okay, so since she knows I'm looking for a ring, why not include her in the process?
Right.
And so one day we get back to Memphis, a couple months later, and we're at Walmart, and I just asked the question, hey, what if I got you a ring from Walmart? Would you accept that? Just hypothetically speaking.
And I was like, the fact that you would want to spend 60 years plus putting up with me, I was like, yes, I would wear a ring from Walmart. Just the fact that you want to live with me for the rest of our lives, I would totally accept it. But just in case, let's go to Jared and see what they have over there. So, so we ended up leaving Walmart and going to Jared, and we're looking at all these different rings, and he found one that he liked for me. It wasn't one that I would have picked out, but he found one that he liked for me. And so I'm kind of like wandering around the store. Y'all, he's like 30 feet away from me. He bought the ring 30 feet away from me. I had no idea he had bought the ring. And so he's over there, and he's got this look on his face like, I can't believe I'm here. This is way more expensive than Walmart. Like, what's happening right now? And he's like, this is not what I agreed to. And so we leave the store. He's having the ring made. and like sized, and we leave the store and he was like, I'm sorry babe, it was just, you know, way out of my budget, so we're not gonna, you know, we'll just have to keep looking. And I was like, okay, I guess that's fine. He bought the ring and had it in the car under the passenger seat for 2 days. I had no idea it was there.
Nope, it was in the car. So, lo and behold, as the week goes on, a lot of things happen during that week, the same week, and maybe we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But it comes up on. It was a Wednesday, and leading up to our pending engagement, there's a lot of activity, a lot of work between me and her. And so by the time I asked her, maybe you'll understand this later, but the romanticism of the situation had pretty much been absorbed by all the work that we did.
Yeah.
So when I asked her, I wasn't in the most romantic mood, but it was like, okay, this is the next step in our progression toward being husband and wife. And so when I asked her, it came out as if it was no big deal. But it was a big deal. It still is a big deal. So when I said, the words I used were not the most romantic at all. What I said was, why don't I just give this to you now? And then when she turned around.
Wait, you have to add, like, I went to the bathroom.
Which is not the most, romantic.
Right, thing. I went to the bathroom.
Either way you want to test it.
And I walked out and
whether
I washed
it's one or two.
And I washed my hands and I turned around and he said, well, I might as well give this to you now. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And he's just like, here.
And it was the ring that she picked out at Jared in my hand. And she was like,
I lost it. I was just like, oh my God.
So she was really like emotionally engaged in the situation. Me, I'm like, this is very logical. So I'm like, wait, I haven't asked you anything yet. I'm just showing you the ring. So I actually asked her. I wasn't down on one knee.
No.
That was it. That's probably my only regret. I wasn't down on one knee.
Not the part about here.
That too. That contributed to it. But I think if I'd have been on one knee and I said here.
I don't know.
That might have been a little better. But I said I'm going to make up for that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't down on one knee because there's a scriptural reason for why I should be down on one knee. But
exactly, Katie. That's exactly how I felt.
Okay. All right. I wasn't down on one knee. But I wasn't on my feet either. So,
okay, he is like making this all long and drawn out. I'm gonna tell you what he did. Hey Ashley, I'm gonna tell you what he did. He was like, I might as well give this to you now. Here. I freaked out, lost my mind, and I was like, is that? He's like, yes, it's a ring. So he gives me the ring, and he's like, oh wait. He's like, got it halfway on my finger. He's like, no. Yes, you did.
Okay.
He's like putting it on my finger.
It's not romantic anyway. None of this is romantic. So
he was like putting it on my finger, and he's like, oh wait, will you marry me? And I was like, yes. And then I put the ring on. I'm like, oh my God. He goes to sleep.
I do. I was sleepy.
He went to sleep.
Hey. So yeah, I was. I didn't go to sleep right away. I at least waited up until she was, oh yes, we kissed and, said we hugged, and I think there was even a prayer in there, but,
Yeah, we prayed.
So there was some engagement, in between here and.
Yes. Yeah,
sleeping.
I jumped up and down, we hugged and prayed, and then he went to sleep. I stayed up until like 3 o'clock in the morning telling everybody I knew that I had just gotten engaged. So it was just like, oh my gosh, like I was just so excited I could not go to sleep. He's snoring and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm getting married. He's just like, I'm going to sleep. So yeah, that's what that was. But so the point of all of this, because that was like a very hilarious story to tell.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
I didn't allow sort of pop culture dictate to me how I was going to propose to my future wife.
And for me, I had always grown up, thinking when I'm proposed to, I want this big, grandiose, proposal, rent out, I don't know, just whatever a big, grandiose proposal. I don't know. I just wanted something big. But after I kind of got over like the initial shock of, okay, I'm actually engaged, like, what am I doing? It was, for me, we put more time and effort into preparing for our marriage than the actual like proposal. And I absolutely appreciate that more now. In the moment I was just like, really? This is it? Yeah. But, looking back on it, because what we did, we had what we called our marriage advocates, and what we did, and what how this is how Yoked really kind of found its footing. We wrote down like a list of questions. It was like 4 pages worth of questions, and we interviewed 5 couples that different ages, different stages of marriage, different stages of life. We took them out to dinner and interviewed them. Each couple was 4 hours apiece. Yeah, roughly 4 hours. So we did like 20 hours of pre-engagement counseling is what we called it. Making sure that when it got to the point of, proposal and engagement and marriage, that we were equally yoked. And what all of that was about is, it's more than, being yoked is more than having, going to the same church, having the same beliefs. It's about being paired with someone or being joined with someone who is just as dedicated to the covenant as you are. That, we look at life the same way. We are going forward together, and at least making sure that you have the foundation to be able to do that and adjust as needed as life goes on.
So one of the things I try to teach people that I married couples that I counsel is that your marriage is more important than either one of you as individuals. Like, you as a husband or you as a wife have to be in a position to be able to put your marriage covenant above yourself and above your spouse. So as long as you keep your marriage covenant lifted up above you as individuals, there's really no issue that might arise between you two that is insurmountable or something that you can't overcome.
Right. And it's not saying that, you're not going to have problems. I mean, stay married long enough, you're going to have some problems. There are going to be issues that come up. You're going to have financial stuff that happens. You're going to have physical stuff that happens. Emotional stuff, spiritual stuff is going to come up. But being with someone who is, looking at the covenant, looking at your relationship and your responsibilities the same way that you are, is what helps you to keep moving forward. And a lot of times I think people don't look at things that way. They don't evaluate their relationship in that regard before they get engaged and before they get married. It's just kind of like, oh, well, we're married now. We'll try to figure out, how to do this. And it's, a lot of times, I think counselors are in business, marriage counselors are in business because people, wait to try to figure things out. Not that we don't appreciate the money, but but if you take the time to learn how to navigate all of these. Oh, hi Elizabeth, tell her Auntie Casey says hi. If you take the time to figure out how to navigate these things, then you won't have, like he said, your issues won't be insurmountable. So
all right, that's how we became engaged.
Yes, that's our engagement story. So next week, make sure that you join us next week. I think Monday we have to do a little bit later because I have a meeting at 6:00.
Okay.
So we might have to do 7:00 on Monday, but I'll keep everybody posted. But next week we're going to talk about our marriage story, and we'll be talking about our health issues, like living and loving an infirm spouse. I'm the infirm one. We'll be talking about our infertility issues and how, that shaped us as a couple, and just
also how we went from engaged to married.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a story in itself. Maybe we'll do that one on Monday.
That'd be a good one.
Yes. Okay. So won't keep you long because it's still the holiday weekend, and I know somebody's got some sweet potato pie they're trying to get into. Do we have any pie left?
We do. I didn't eat it all.
Sweet. We have pie left. Okay. Love y'all. Have a good night. We'll see you Monday.